The morning started like any other at the Daejeon Aerospace Research Center. Du Young sat at his desk, watching the weather patterns on his computer screen. His dark eyes moved quickly across the data, checking for anything unusual. After 10 years of watching Earth's atmosphere, he knew what normal looked like. This was not normal. Jae-yun, he called to his colleague. Come look at this. Jae-yun walked over from her workstation. Her lab coat was wrinkled from sitting all day. What did you find? Look at these patterns above the DMZ, Du Young said, pointing to his screen. The air is moving in ways it shouldn't. Jae-yun leaned closer. The data showed strange circles in the sky, like invisible whirlpools floating above the border between North and South Korea. She had never seen anything like it. Could it be a military test? She asked. Du Young shook his head. No. I checked with our contacts. No tests are scheduled for this week. They spent the next 3 hours analyzing the data. The patterns kept appearing and disappearing, always in the same spots. It was as if something was there, but invisible to their regular sensors. We need better equipment, Jae-yun said. She went to the storage room and brought back their newest atmospheric scanner. It could detect things that regular machines missed. As they pointed the scanner at the sky, their computer screens filled with new information. Du Young's eyes grew wide. Jae-yun, these readings, they match what we think alien ships would look like. Jae-yun checked the numbers again and again. You're right. These energy patterns, they're like nothing on Earth. But if they're alien ships, why are they watching the DMZ? Just then, their boss walked in. Director Kang was an old man with gray hair and thick glasses. What are you two still doing here? It's almost dinner time. Du Young and Jae-yun shared a look. Should they tell him? Director, Du Young said carefully, we found something strange in the atmosphere. Something that might be very important. They showed him the data. Director Kang's face turned serious. He picked up the phone and made a call. Within an hour, the small lab was filled with people. Military officers in uniform stood next to scientists in white coats. Everyone spoke in whispers, looking at the screens with worried faces. The objects are still there, Jae-yun announced. They haven't moved. A military officer stepped forward. Can they see us watching them? We don't think so, Du Young answered. Our scanner is passive. It only receives information, like listening without making any noise. As night fell over Daejeon, more strange patterns appeared. The invisible objects were moving, but always staying above the DMZ. It was clear they were watching something. But what? Du Young noticed something else in the data. Look at this, he said to Jae-yun. There's a lot of activity near that small lake in the DMZ. The objects seem very interested in that area. Jae-yun checked her wildlife database. That lake, it's known for having lots of dragonflies. It's one of the few places where they can live without human interference. Dragonflies? Director Kang asked. Why would advanced alien ships care about dragonflies? No one had an answer, but they all felt something big was about to happen. Humans might not be alone in the universe anymore, and for some strange reason, Earth's dragonflies had caught the attention of visitors from another world. As the scientists worked through the night, none of them knew they were at the beginning of humanity's most important discovery. The truth about Earth's perfect aerial hunters was about to change everything they thought they knew about advanced technology. And somewhere above them, hidden from human eyes, the aliens were making their own surprising discoveries about Earth's seemingly simple insects. Inside the cloaked Nideri observation ship, Heath stared at his screens with growing excitement. The tall, blue-skinned alien had spent 20 years studying different worlds, but he had never seen anything like Earth's insects. Look at this one, he said to his team. The way it moves, the way it hunts, it's perfect. On his screen, a dragonfly darted through the air above the DMZ lake. Its movements were quick and precise. The small creature turned and twisted at impossible angles, then caught its prey in midair without missing. Keith played the recording again, slower this time. The dragonfly's success rate was amazing. It caught almost everything it chased. Even Nedari ships, with their advanced computers, couldn't move like that. Meanwhile, at the Daejeon Aerospace Research Center, Hae-yoon walked into Do-young's office. She was carrying a thick folder full of research papers. "I heard you found something strange in the sky," she said, "and it has something to do with my dragonflies." Hae-yoon was the center's expert on insects. She had studied dragonflies for 15 years. To her, they were the most amazing creatures on Earth. "Yes," Do-young said. He showed her the data from the invisible ships. "They seem very interested in the lake where you do your research." Hae-yoon smiled. "I'm not surprised. Those dragonflies are special. Did you know they're the most successful hunters in the world? They catch their prey 95% of the time." Do-young and Jae-yun looked at each other in surprise. 95%. Jae-yun asked. "That's almost perfect." "Yes," Hae-yoon said. She opened her folder and showed them her research. "No other predator comes close. Not lions, not sharks, not even military tracking systems. Dragonflies are the best hunters on Earth." Back on the Nedari ship, Keith was reaching the same conclusion. His team had compared the dragonflies to every hunting creature they knew from other worlds. Nothing matched their success rate. "How do they do it?" one of his team members asked. Keith zoomed in on a dragonfly's eyes. "Their eyes are amazing. They can see in almost every direction at once. And their wings." He paused, checking his data again. "Their wings can move in ways our best ships can't copy." The Nedari were worried. They had come to Earth thinking it was a simple planet with simple life forms. But these dragonflies were showing them something different, something that made them question their own technology. At the research center, Hae-yoon was getting excited. "Look at these new readings," she said, pointing to her computer. "The dragonflies are acting differently. It's like they know something is watching them." Do-young checked his screens. The invisible ships were moving closer to the lake, trying to get better scans of the insects. "Should we tell someone?" Jae-yun asked. "The military, maybe." "Not yet," Do-young said. "Let's watch and learn. Whatever these visitors are, they're here to study, not to fight. They're scientists, just like us." As night fell again, both humans and aliens watched the dragonflies with growing amazement. The small insects kept hunting, unaware that they were showing two different species just how incredible Earth's life forms could be. In his ship, Keith made a decision. He sent a message to his home world. "Earth's simple creatures are not so simple. Their dragonflies have mastered something we're still trying to learn. We need to study them more." The message traveled through space, carrying with it a truth that would soon change both worlds. Sometimes the most amazing technology isn't technology at all. Sometimes nature does it better. Early morning sunlight streamed through the windows of the Daejeon Aerospace Research Center. Do-young rubbed his tired eyes as he looked at his computer screen. He hadn't gone home in 2 days. None of them had. "The alien ships are scanning again," Jae-yun said from her desk. "But this time, it's different." Do-young walked over to look at her screen. The invisible ships were sending out new kinds of signals. These weren't just observation scans anymore. They were trying to understand exactly how the dragonflies worked. Hae-yoon burst into the room, holding her tablet. "You need to see this." Her voice was filled with excitement. "I've been analyzing the dragonfly hunting patterns from the past week. The numbers are amazing." She showed them her research. The dragonflies near the lake were doing things she had never seen before. They were flying in new patterns, hunting in ways that seemed impossible. "It's like they're showing off," she said, "like they know they have an audience." In the Nedari ship above, Keith was reaching similar conclusions. His team had collected thousands of scans of the dragonflies. Each one showed something that amazed them more. "Their brains are so small," one of Keith's assistants said. "How can they calculate such perfect flight paths?" Keith studied the data carefully. They don't calculate, he said. That's what makes them special. They just do it. Their bodies evolved to be perfect hunters. Back at the research center, Jai-yun made an important discovery. I think I found a way to intercept their data streams, she told Du-young. We can see what they're learning about our dragonflies. They worked together to decode the alien information. It wasn't easy, but Jai-yun was good with patterns. Slowly, the alien data began to make sense. They're comparing the dragonflies to their own technology, Du-young said, reading the decoded information. Their ships, their weapons, they're testing everything against our insects. Hae-yoon looked up from her research. And what are they finding? The dragonflies are better, Jai-yun said, at everything. Speed, accuracy, energy use. The aliens can't believe it. Director Kang called an emergency meeting. Scientists from different departments gathered in the main conference room. Hae-yoon presented her findings first. These are normal dragonflies, she explained, showing videos on the big screen. But what they can do is extraordinary. They can predict where their prey will move. They can change direction in less than a blink of an eye. And they almost never miss. Do-young showed the alien data next. The visitors have ships that can cross space, he said. But they can't match what our dragonflies do every day. In space, Keith was sending more messages home. His superiors needed to understand what they had found. Earth wasn't just another planet with simple life. It had creatures that could teach the Nidari new things about flight, about hunting, about perfect motion. As the day went on, both humans and aliens kept watching the lake. The dragonflies continued their aerial dance, catching prey with incredible skill. They didn't know or care that they were changing how two different species thought about technology and nature. In the research center, Hae-yoon smiled as she watched a dragonfly catch its prey. Maybe, she said quietly, we've been thinking about advanced technology all wrong. Maybe the most advanced things aren't built in factories. Maybe they're born in simple lakes and ponds. No one disagreed with her. They all knew they were watching something important unfold. The day Earth's insects taught advanced aliens about perfection. The Nidari High Command meeting room was silent. Keith stood before the giant screen, showing his research about Earth's dragonflies. Even through the long-distance communication system, everyone could see how excited he was. Our best targeting systems have an 84% success rate, Keith explained. Earth's dragonflies achieve 95% in their sleep. They do this without computers, without training, without any technology at all. The Nidari leaders looked troubled. Their species had spent thousands of years developing their technology. Now, a small insect from Earth was showing them how simple they still were. Back on Earth, a new face had joined the research team. Colonel Ta-won walked into the center wearing a crisp military uniform. His job was to understand if the aliens were a threat. Tell me everything, he said to Du-young. Leave nothing out. Du-young showed him the data they had collected. The aliens call themselves the Nidari, he explained. They've been watching our dragonflies for days now. We can intercept some of their communications. Ta-won leaned forward, interested. And what do these communications tell us? Jai-yun stepped forward with her latest findings. They're amazed, she said, and a little scared. Their whole society is built on having the best technology in their part of space, but our dragonflies are better than their best machines. In his ship above the DMZ, Keith received new orders from his leaders. They wanted him to understand exactly how the dragonflies achieved such perfection. He turned to his research team with determination. We need to study everything, he told them. How they see, how they think, how they move. Earth has given us a puzzle we must solve. At the research center, Hae-yoon was making progress with her studies. She had found something new about the dragonfly's eyes. Look at this, she said, calling everyone to her computer. Their eyes let them see everything at once. No blind spots. They process visual information faster than any computer we've ever built. Ta-won nodded slowly. So they're not just good hunters. They're perfect hunters. Nature had millions of years to perfect them. Heyoon explained. Each generation got a little better, a little faster. Now they're as close to perfect as any hunter can be. The alien scans were becoming more detailed. Du Young and Jai-yun could see them focusing on individual dragonflies now, tracking their every movement. They're learning, Du Young said. Every day, they understand a little more about how advanced Earth's simple creatures really are. Colonel Ta-won made his decision. We need to contact them, he said, not with weapons or threats, but with knowledge. They came here to learn. Let's teach them. Heyoon agreed. We can share what we know about dragonflies. Show them that Earth has more to offer than they thought. As night fell over the DMZ, both species were reaching the same conclusion. The universe had more secrets than either of them had imagined. And sometimes, the greatest teachers had 6 legs and 4 wings. In his ship, Keith prepared to do something no Nidari had ever done before. He was going to ask humans for help, because when it came to understanding perfect hunting, Earth's tiny dragonflies knew more than all of his people's technology. The next day would bring first contact. But it wouldn't be about power or fear. It would be about learning from Earth's most amazing hunters, the creatures that had achieved what advanced aliens could only dream of. The morning brought changes to the Daejeon Aerospace Research Center. Military vehicles filled the parking lot. Inside, Colonel Ta-won coordinated with teams from different countries. The world's governments now knew about the Nidari ships, and they wanted answers. The aliens have been peaceful so far, Ta-won explained to a room full of officials. They're scientists, like our own researchers. They came to study, not to fight. Do Young worked at his computer, analyzing the latest alien communications. He had gotten better at understanding their language patterns. What he found made him smile. They're preparing to reveal themselves, he told Jai-yun. The Nidari have decided that Earth is more advanced than they thought. They'd want to learn from us. Jai-yun looked up from her own work. She had made an important discovery about the alien technology. Their ships use energy in a way similar to our electronics, she explained. But they never thought to study natural creatures for inspiration. They built everything from scratch. In the lab next door, Heyoon showed her dragonfly research to scientists from around the world. The room was silent as they watched videos of the insects hunting. Notice how they adjust their position, she said, pointing to the screen. They don't just chase their prey. They predict where it will go. They understand complex motion better than our best computers. Colonel Ta-won received a message from his superiors. They had decided to attempt communication with the aliens, but they wanted to do it carefully, scientifically. We'll start with data exchange, he announced to the team. Show them we understand what they're studying. Show them we can help. Do Young and Jai-yun worked together to prepare the first message. They included everything they knew about dragonflies, their hunting patterns, their success rates, their incredible eyes and wings. In his ship above the DMZ, Keith received the human transmission. His team gathered around as they translated the message. Their reaction was one of surprise and respect. The humans understand, Keith said softly. They know why we're here. They know what makes their world special. Heyoon continued her research, adding new discoveries every day. She found that dragonflies could process visual information in ways that made advanced computers look slow. It's not just about catching prey, she explained to Ta-won. It's about perfect motion, perfect timing. These insects solve complex problems without thinking. They just do what comes naturally. The Nidari ships moved lower in the sky. They were still invisible, but now they wanted to be found. They sent new signals, stronger ones, asking for direct communication. As evening approached, Du Young looked out his office window at the military vehicles below. Everything is about to change, he said to Jai-yun. But not because of weapons or fear, because of tiny insects that hunt better than alien warships. Colonel Ta-won gathered the team for a final meeting. Tomorrow, They would talk to the aliens face to face. Two species would meet because one of them was humble enough to admit that Earth's simple creatures had something to teach them. The dragonflies continued their evening hunt over the lake, unaware that they had brought together two intelligent species. Their perfect hunting had shown advanced aliens that sometimes the best technology isn't technology at all. Sometimes, nature finds a better way. The conference room at the Daejeon Aerospace Research Center was ready for a historic meeting. Hae-yoon arranged her research materials carefully on the table. Today, humans would meet the Naidari face to face. "Are you nervous?" Do-young asked her as they waited. "No," she replied with a smile. "Science is science, no matter where you come from. The dragonflies have already shown us that." The Naidari ship appeared slowly in the morning sky, its cloaking system turning off for the first time. It wasn't very big, about the size of a small airplane. It landed softly in the empty field behind the research center. Colonel Ta-won stood with his team as the ship's door opened. Keith walked out first, his blue skin shining in the sunlight. He was tall and thin, with large eyes that reminded everyone of the insects he had come to study. "Welcome to Earth," Ta-won said formally. Keith bowed slightly. "Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us," he replied in perfect Korean, using a translation device. Hae-yoon stepped forward with her tablet. "I have a proposal," she said. "Instead of just sharing data, let's work together. There's still so much to learn about how dragonflies hunt." Keith's eyes lit up with interest. "You would teach us." "We can teach each other," Do-young said. "You have space technology. We have nature's perfect hunters. Together, we might learn things neither of us could discover alone." Jae-yun brought up the latest scans on the big screen. They showed dragonflies hunting in slow motion, their movements broken down into tiny details. "See how they turn," she explained to the Naidari scientists. "They don't waste any energy. Every movement has a purpose." Keith shared his own research. The Naidari had studied hunting creatures on 100 different worlds. None came close to Earth's dragonflies. "Your insects solve problems that our best computers struggle with," he admitted. "They make complex calculations seem simple." As the day went on, both species learned from each other. The Naidari showed how their ships worked. The humans explained how nature had perfected the art of flight and hunting over millions of years. "Evolution is a powerful force," Hae-yoon explained. "Each generation of dragonflies kept the best features and improved them. Now they're almost perfect." Keith watched a dragonfly catch its prey through the window. "On our world, we tried to build perfect machines," he said. "But we never thought to learn from nature first." Colonel Ta-won saw the potential for something bigger. "This could be the start of a great partnership," he said. "Not just about dragonflies, but about all the things Earth's nature could teach us." The Naidari agreed. They had come looking for simple creatures to study. Instead, they found teachers who could help them see the universe in a new way. As the sun set, Hae-yoon worked with Keith to set up new research equipment near the lake. Tomorrow they would begin studying the dragonflies together, two species united by their love of science and their respect for nature's wisdom. The dragonflies kept hunting above them, still achieving their incredible 95% success rate. They didn't know they had brought together two intelligent species from different worlds. They just kept doing what they had always done, showing the universe what perfect hunting looked like. 1 month after first contact, the Daejeon Aerospace Research Center had changed completely. The building now had both human and Naidari scientists working side by side. Their shared goal was to understand Earth's most efficient hunters. Do-young sat at his new desk, looking at data from the latest experiments. Next to him, Keith adjusted the settings on a complex scanner they had developed together. "The dragonfly's wing movements are even more amazing than we thought," Keith said, pointing to the screen. "Every tiny motion serves a purpose. Nothing is wasted." Jae-yun walked in with exciting news. "The first joint research paper is ready," she announced. "Both our worlds will learn about dragonflies at the same time." The paper was special. It showed how Earth's insects could teach advanced aliens about better ways to build spacecraft. The Nidari had already started designing new ships based on dragonfly flight patterns. Heyun's lab had grown larger. She now had a team of scientists from both species. They watched through powerful microscopes as dragonflies hunted small insects in special observation tanks. See how they adjust their speed, she explained to everyone. They don't just fly fast. They fly smart. They know exactly how much energy to use for each catch. Colonel Ta-1 had good news from Earth's governments. They had approved a new science center that would study all of Earth's creatures. The Nidari would help build it, adding their technology to Earth's knowledge. This is just the beginning, Ta-1 told the team. Think of all the other things we can learn from nature. Keth agreed. His people had already found other Earth creatures that amazed them. Butterflies that could fly thousands of miles without getting lost. Ants that built perfect cities underground. Spiders that made silk stronger than steel. We thought we were coming to teach a young world, he said to Du Young. Instead, your world is teaching us. In the afternoon, Jia-Yun showed everyone her latest discovery. She had found a way to combine Nidari sensors with Earth computers. The new system could track dragonfly movements better than ever before. Now we can see exactly how they predict where their prey will go, she explained. Their brains do it faster than any computer. The Nidari scientists were impressed. They had built huge machines to do what dragonflies did naturally. Now they were learning a better way. As the day ended, Heyun and Keith worked on their next project. They wanted to understand how dragonflies could see in almost every direction at once. If we can learn this, Keith said, we can make spacecraft that never have blind spots. We can build better safety systems for all our ships. Outside, the sun set over the DMZ lake. The dragonflies kept hunting as they had for millions of years. Their perfect flight and incredible hunting skills had brought together two species from different worlds. Du Young looked at the research center, now full of humans and aliens working together. All because some small insects could hunt better than the most advanced alien ships. Sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest things. 6 months after the Nidari first appeared above the DMZ, the world had changed in amazing ways. The new Earth Nidari Science Center stood proudly in Daejeon, its laboratories filled with discoveries that helped both worlds. Du Young walked through the main hall, looking at pictures of the first days when they discovered the alien ships. So much had happened since then, all because of dragonflies. The new ships are ready for testing, Keith announced as he met Du Young in the conference room. The Nidari had built spacecraft using what they learned from Earth's insects. The ships looked different now, smoother and more natural in their design. Jia-Yun joined them with the test results on her tablet. The new ships used 40% less energy, she said proudly. And they can turn and move almost as well as dragonflies. Almost. Heyun's work had grown far beyond just studying dragonflies. Her team now looked at all kinds of Earth creatures, finding new lessons in each one. The Nidari were eager to learn about everything Earth's nature had to offer. Nature spent millions of years solving problems we're just beginning to understand, she explained to a group of visiting scientists. The answers were here all along. We just had to look carefully. Colonel Ta-1 had good news from both Earth and Nidari leaders. They had signed an agreement to share all scientific discoveries. The agreement was called the Dragonfly Protocol, named after the insects that started it all. Both our worlds will grow stronger together, Ta-1 said during the signing ceremony. And it all began because aliens were humble enough to learn from Earth's smallest hunters. In his new office, Du Young looked at the latest data from the dragonfly studies. The insects were still teaching them new things. Every day brought new discoveries about how they flew, how they hunted, how they saw the world. I never thought our biggest teachers would be so small, he said to Jia-Yun as they worked. Jia-Yun smiled. That's what makes Earth special, she replied. Even our tiniest creatures can do amazing things. Keith had become Earth's biggest supporter among his people. He told everyone who would listen about how much they could learn from this small blue planet. "We thought technology was the only path to advancement," he said during a speech to Nidari scientists. "Earth showed us that nature often finds better answers." At the DMZ lake, Heyoon and a team of human and Nidari scientists watched the dragonflies in their endless dance of hunting. The insects still caught their prey 95% of the time, showing perfect skill with every flight. "They haven't changed," Heyoon said softly. "We're the ones who changed. We learned to see how special they really are." As the sun set on another day of discovery, Do-young thought about how far they had come. Aliens had arrived looking for simple creatures to study. Instead, they found wisdom in Earth's natural world that changed their entire civilization. The dragonflies kept flying, kept hunting, kept showing what perfect motion looked like. They had brought together two species from different worlds, teaching them both that sometimes the greatest technology isn't technology at all. Sometimes it's the simple perfection of nature, doing what it has always done best.